Hello, hello. Welcome to Win Talks Sessions channel. This is a channel created exclusively to interview woodwind players from all around the world. And if you are a student of contemporary woodwind playing, our guest today needs no introduction. Actually, he's a multi-platinum artist, a pioneer who helped define the sound of contemporary jazz and R&B in the late 80s and 90s. He's one of the few artists in history whose voice on the flute is just as recognizable and influential as his voice on the soprano and tenor saxophone. We are honored to have the legendary Najee with us today. So, Najee, welcome to Win Talk Sessions channel. We are very glad to have you here today.
Thank you, Antonio. It's an honor. I mean, when you use that word legend, I have to check my retirement portfolio to see where all that is.
No, man, you have quite some history. That's
Yes, I've
that's
been very
amazing.
fortunate. Thank you. I'm grateful.
Yeah,
So, mhm,
yeah. So, actually, doing some research.
mhm.
Well, first things first. Okay. So, I would like you to speak to our audience before when all started. Like, you have musicians in your family. How everything started? How
Sure.
you already started with woodwind instruments or other
Yes, I did.
instruments? What
Mhm.
what happened back then?
Well, my father was a classical musician. I didn't know him. He died when I was very young, but he was. And I wouldn't really give credit to him giving me much of an influence, other than maybe in the bloodline somewhere. But he was a well-known classical musician in the uh, New York Philharmonic, the New York Met, and the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra. Originally from Chicago, I grew up in New York City, playing in the local bands. It actually started in elementary school when a guy came and played Desafinado, the great Stan Getz song, in our class
Wow.
one day in the first grade, and I thought he was Stan Getz. I didn't know any better. And and my mother was a very fond of the sound of saxophone. So I grew up just with the sound in my head, and every weekend she had a tradition that when we cleaned the house, she would just play music by Mongo Santa Maria, Miles Davis, John Coltrane. I mean, she just had a wide variety. And eventually, when I got to around junior high school is when I had the fortune of playing saxophone and then picking up the flute. And I had the privilege and honor to study with a wonderful group of musicians at Jazzmobile in New York City. The late Jimmy Heath was for his flute master class. Frank West, Frank Foster, and then also
Okay.
I did get to study in the preparatory division of Manhattan School of Music for flute with
But it all started in the high school or
well, it started actually in elementary school and then through high school,
wow.
yeah.
So
And I
very early.
actually went to high school to become a pilot. I went there to become an aviator, but we had a very strong music department, very talented kids. And one event that happened was the late Dr. Billy Taylor came to our school and performed and invited the music students to join Jazzmobile. So there began my journey at the age of 16 into jazz as a study, so
Ooh, nice. So
yeah.
when you started learning the flute,
Hmm.
do you remember the name of your teachers for the flute and specifically for
Yes.
the saxophones?
Yes. Well, my first teacher was Mr. David Vetter in high school. He was my high school teacher. And then on the weekends, we would go up to Harlem from Queens to Jazzmobile, where I got to study with Jimmy Heath in his master flute class, jazz flute class. And then I took lessons with Harold Jones, who was at that time, the first flautist of the Brooklyn Philharmonic in New York. So,
Nice.
and the reason why the flute became prominent is because that same year that when I was 16, my saxophones were stolen. And
Wow.
so all I had was a flute,
Oh
and
my God.
I would play and with bands playing flute. I'd show up with the flute, and that's how it developed for me.
So you started pretty much on the flute.
Well, no, saxophone, and then flute became a part of the vocabulary.
Oh,
When I was coming up back then, you were encouraged to play. It was back in the days when still big bands were hired. Like musicians were hired to play TV show.
okay.
We're talking in the '70s. That
Yeah.
TV show hiring, Broadway shows, all those kind of things were a part of the music culture in New York. So you wanted to be able to be called if you were called for something. This is how our teachers taught it, that you should be able to play clarinet, you should be able to play flute, you should be able to play saxophone, you know. I lost interest in clarinet at a very early age. So even though I had started on it, I didn't really take to the instrument
Yeah.
the way saxophone
People
and
say that
yeah.
clarinet's a very, very hard instrument to learn.
Absolutely. Well, they're all hard, as you know. They all can be hard, but
I'm
clarinet, you're
I,
right, you know.
I'm still trying to find my embouchure, you know, until today. I played flute for more than 20 years, but I'm still trying.
So am I. Don't feel bad. Flute is not easy, you know. But
Man,
clarinet, you know, after I heard, there was, Bob Mincer to me is one of the best, one of the best clarinetists that I believe in the world, you know, for jazz,
yeah,
and several others, you know. So
yeah. So, what do you think, you know, as a musician that plays both flute and saxophone, when you have to change between one and the other during a concert,
yeah,
do you think it affects your embouchure for the flute or for the saxophone? What do you do to, you know, find a way around of getting your
yeah.
embouchure? Uh,
It's something I don't really give a lot of thought to. Becomes second nature because you know what's coming next. But I do find that when I don't play the flute for a few days, I need to at least have 3 to 4 days to get it back, you know. And the jump in a concert, it can be sometimes quite jarring, you know, because your ear has to get used to it, to the sound.
yeah,
Your micro muscles in your embouchure, that they become very fatigued if they're not constantly being worked with, you know. So
yeah.
it has its challenges, as you can well imagine.
Oh yeah, totally. Because I kept playing flute for, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 years, and then I said, okay, it's time to get a saxophone. Let's see. And then I found myself in that field. Like, wow, that's, oh my God, what's happening to my
It's quite
flute
a change,
embouchure now?
right? And
Yeah,
Antonio, a lot of saxophone players, they approach the flute like a saxophone, you know. They come with, and I always say to young students, if you're going to play both instruments, learn to play the flute the way a flute player plays it, you know. Study it like you are a flute player, you know. Study classical. I always encourage people to study classical because therein lies the fundamentals, you know.
oh
If you
yeah,
can learn a few pieces, you already know. um
oh
and
yeah,
even in jazz, we study the changes, we study, how to navigate through songs and chord changes. But at the end of the day, you still have to come back to the fundamentals to really, so you have that relationship with the instrument,
to keep it strong. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
You have to keep studying, you know, Tafanel Gobert
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
and all the classics, right?
Yes, sir. and
Yeah.
and and sometimes it's not the goal to be a classical player. That's a very hard world to
Oh
impress.
yeah.
Very few people can impress that world from the jazz side. Hubert Laws might be one of the few. um, but when you step in and you hear a James Galway play classical music, you're like, now that's the way classical flute should sound. But
Yeah.
the gems, the tools, the fundamentals of what that music offers, the discipline, some things, we can get away with in jazz, we cannot get away with in classical. So I
Yeah.
always encourage people to, even, you don't have to be a classical player to study and gain the benefits of it.
Yeah. Sometimes when you listen to classical music, like flute classical music, it's pretty much like people playing a piano. It's so clean.
That's so clean and so
It's
clear. Yeah.
flawless.
Yes.
It's years and years and decades of study to achieve that point, right?
True. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so speaking of career and stuff, I would like to tell our audience about, okay, so you learned the flute and saxophone and started
Hmm.
playing with the gigs in New York and all
Yes.
around. So when was your first professional gig you get hired to play with?
Yeah. Well, to me, here in the United States, uh, you're considered a professional the minute you start making money at it. So at 15 years old,
Oh yeah.
my little band, Mystic Funk in New York, we got hired by the New York City Department of Health and Human Services to play a party they were giving in my neighborhood to promote condoms.
Oh, that's funny.
True story. And so I think we might have made each maybe $25 a piece, you know. So I say, you know,
That
I wasn't a professional player, but I started making money at the
well,
age of 15, you know.
two
So
hundred bucks back in what, the 80s?
yeah, in the 70s, you know, we're
Wow,
talking in
so
the
that's
70s. Yeah.
not bad,
So,
eh?
but you know, really, by the time I was 18, my first world tour was with a band out of New York called Area Code, and we toured all over the different parts of the world. We for the USO, the U.S. military. So we went to
Ooh,
Germany, Italy, Iceland, Greenland, Central America, Panama, you know, and some of the Central American countries
but was
on
pretty
behalf
much
of the United States.
instrumental.
Huh?
Instrumental.
No, we were R&B group. We actually did
Oh,
steps. We
okay, okay.
sang. We played the local the songs at the time. You know, like Chicago and Cool and the Gang and you know James Brown. We did all that. You know, and we danced and we had the big afros. You know, so
Nice.
we were we were. That's what we did, and I did that for about a year, and then I decided to go to college. You know, after that and
That
studied. I got
actually
yeah.
playing
Mhm.
every day with a bunch of people, different songs, that's quite as cool.
Oh, it was. It was.
Especially
Yeah.
when you have to play, for, I don't know, private events or proms or
Yes.
whatever, and
Hmm.
people, hey, can you play this one? Can you play that? And you have, okay, what tone is this one? And
Right.
that's quite
Right.
as cool, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then you were called to play with Chaka Khan.
Yes, yes. Well, I my brother and I we auditioned for the New England Conservatory of Music and we got in. Only problem is we didn't have much money to pay for it, so we eventually had to leave. And I moved back from Boston back to New York and was scrounging around for gigs. And one night I'm in the club playing alto on a straight ahead gig, you know, and um, in walks her musical director. And the next day I got a call to come and audition for the horn section. So I was there with myself and Bob. I don't know if you know Bobby Franceschini, who plays with Mike Stern, tenor player,
Yeah.
and Matt Gallahan at the time, who played with David Bowie. So it's the three of us in the horn section. You know, toured with her for a
Wow.
while, and from there, that opened up so many other doors for me to where I eventually got signed. You know,
How long
to
you
my
stayed
first
with
album.
Shaka Khan
It was only
gig?
about a year, about a year.
A
Yeah,
year.
so yeah.
Okay, you went to Montreux Jazz Festival, stuff like that. No.
No, we didn't go to Montreal. We toured. It was the Ain't Nobody tour in 1983 when that song was a big hit. So we toured doing festivals and concert venues all around the country here in the United States. We didn't. That band we didn't travel internationally. You know, we just stayed here in the continental U.S. Yeah.
And it was quite a school as well, right?
Oh, no question. I mean, that
Yeah,
was
you were how old at that time?
I think maybe 24, 25. Maybe.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
young,
Yeah.
very young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. And then after Chaka Khan, what was the next gig or the next gigs? I know you
Well, and
played with Prince and a bunch of other big
that was
names.
later. I then did like a lot of record dates in New York, as a soloist on some of the hip hop records and R&B records of that time, in the 80s. And then I played with a group called BBQ Band, which is Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens. They were, they had a big hit. We would come up to Canada quite often, to Montreal, play a club called Check is up there all the time. And a group called Change. So I actually played keyboards as a second keyboard player and taking one solo a night on alto.
Wow.
And then eventually that led to me performing on records. And in one of the records, the legendary R&B singer Melissa Morgan got signed to Capitol. And they thought I was a keyboard player. And when they heard me play on her record, they were like, well, we're thinking about signing a jazz artist. And I didn't know anything about being a solo artist, so I brought them a bunch of demos and they put out their first album, and I always, every time I hear the album, I'm like, man, listen how young I was. The soprano's out of tune. You know, I had to grow into
Yes.
my position, so yeah.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes when you
you're
listen to
well.
stuff you recorded like back in the
Yeah,
years, you
back
say,
when you were young and you're like, oh no, I can't. Yeah.
but it's part of your story,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah, it is. But I'm
You can't
grateful for
erase
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm
totally.
grateful. Yeah.
So you recorded your first solo album, right?
Yes. Hmm.
So
That was in 1986. Yeah. Mhm.
86. So how
Yeah.
was the promotion for that album? Radios,
Yes.
concerts? It
It
was
was,
pretty
you know,
much for
that
the
was
instrumental scenario.
that was a very different time in the music industry because record companies were they sold their records at retail stores. And a lot of people don't know this connection, but honestly, it was Michael Jackson's Thriller that began to bring people back in the stores and money back into the industry, because people came in to get his record and Prince and Madonna and others, and that kind of rebirthed a lot of things. And I was a product of that period of time where I got signed, um, and I was signed to a management company called Hush Productions, who had Melba Moore, a lot of people on their label, Freddie Jackson, and they put me on the Freddie Jackson tour opening for him. So I would go out there and do 15 minutes a night in arenas where people walking in, they didn't even know my name. But the benefit of that was being in the market. Let's say if you go to Chicago or Milwaukee or something, yeah, you could, the radio promo people would take me to radio. And back then, even R&B radio played what we were doing. I never considered those first four albums jazz by any means. They were really R&B records with the saxophone.
Yeah.
But the world called it jazz because it was a saxophone voice. But yeah, so I broke through the R&B market honestly first in a major level, and I think I kind of caught everybody by surprise because here was this instrumentalist that had my first gold album, and then the second one did the same kind of success, and the third and fourth. The first one, I don't know if you can see them back there; they're all posted
Yeah,
back
yeah.
there. But yeah, so that's pretty much how it started. And,
Nice. Yeah, I've been seeing lately. I don't. Probably that's my opinion. I don't know if you agree, but researching, about flautists and saxophonists and
mhm.
everything, I see. I don't know. Instrumental music's coming back in a certain way.
Mm. Okay, well, I hope
Maybe
you're right.
people, maybe
Yeah,
people are tired of the
yeah,
industry the way it is right now,
I agree.
especially for young people. They are tired of disposable music.
Right, I agree. I agree.
So I can see instrumental music like flute and saxophone music reaching Billboard charts and
Mm,
stuff like that. So I
sure.
said, "Oh, that's interesting uh, thing that's happening." I hope
Mhm.
it keeps growing and growing, and because it's a different time. When people listen to instrumental music, some people they tend to, okay, so when the singer will start to sing,
Very true.
if they don't have the culture,
Sure, I
but
agree.
I've been seeing a lot of people getting started in the instrumental world and enjoying it, and sometimes wanting to play an instrument. Okay, maybe I should learn how to play the guitar. It's really cool, or the
Right.
flute, or so. That's a good sign. I hope I'm right.
No, I believe you. I believe you might be. I this current record, I actually called in all my friends for favors. So which were vocalists, a lot of vocalists on the current record. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so then you recorded an album with Stevie Wonder songs, right?
Yes, yes. It was my last album on EMI Capitol Records at
Mm-hmm.
the time, and they came to me and asked me, when you left record companies back then, it was almost like a divorce. There's always a financial settlement, So my
Yeah.
financial settlement was them to give them one last album, and they brought in the legendary George Duke to be the producer, which was a wonderful experience for me. And George, in his brilliance, brought in a lot of people that were on the original recording with Stevie, like James Jamerson on bass, and so a lot of people like that, and Michael Cimbello on guitar. Um, and so the album came out. It's one of those records that I think it shocked my audience a little bit because that wasn't what they were used to from me. But it's one of those albums that's been selling since 1994. I think I recorded it. Still
Oh,
sells. So
nice.
yeah.
And how was the way you found, like, okay, this is a song with lyrics and stuff,
Hmm.
but there's a melody.
Yeah.
So what was the process, to convert the lyrics into instrumental music? You just follow the
Yeah.
melody, or what did you do at that time? How was
Well, at
your
that time, I tried to determine which instrument worked best for each song to interpret
Yeah.
the melody. I like to say I have a pretty unique style of playing. Like I always tell people when they say, well, why don't we, we want a Kirk Whalum type solo. And I always tell them, get Kirk Whalum, because I don't sound like Kirk. Kirk is a great player, and he's my friend, and I don't have a problem with giving you his number, call him,
Yeah.
because I don't play like Kirk Whalum. You want Najee, you're going to get that. And it's kind of a personal sound. So when you apply that to an album such as that album, you try to interpret the melodies as close as you can, which is not easy to do when it comes to a Stevie Wonder. I mean, as you can imagine, flute
Yeah.
flute tends to lend itself a little easier, I think, to some of the things he does. So I played a lot of flute on that record.
Yeah.
Some soprano, very little tenor, maybe one
Yeah.
alto thing.
So you're not playing the alto anymore, right? You just
No, I gave
with
it
the
up.
soprano.
Yeah,
Yeah.
David Sanborn, Gerald Albright, they all killed it for me. I said, you know what? Every time I hear I'm playing alto, I can't help but hit that high A or high C, and then I'm like, oh man, I don't even want to be accused of trying to imitate, but that's how you hear.
Yeah. But
You
you
know.
still have the alto saxophones with
Oh
you,
yeah.
or?
I have several. I have quite a few. My favorite is
Okay.
my Selmer. I have a gold plated uh, Selmer Series 3 that I have. So
Oh, nice. So you have a bunch of instruments, right?
yeah, I do. I do. Yeah.
Okay. So
Some,
you
yeah,
keep
in
all.
this game, people give you stuff too. So
Oh yeah, yeah. To
mhm.
test and to give
Oh
your
yeah.
opinion,
As a matter
right?
of fact, somebody gave me Junior Walker tenor saxophone, his Yamaha tenor saxophone recently. So I have that, which I don't play. It's one of those things I'm going to build a case for in my house somewhere. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It happens. So with all you have lots of records, man. For an instrumental artist, it's like
Hmm.
quite an achievement, right? Because
Oh,
you know
thank
how the
you.
industry how the
Oh,
industry
I do.
is, but it's quite an achievement. So I would like to talk with you about your latest album,
Hmm.
um, Under the Moon Over the Sky,
Yes. Hmm.
which was released last year.
Yes. In August of last year.
And
Uh,
doing my research, I found some quite interesting things here, like the Brazilian
yes.
touch, let's say,
Uh-huh.
right? How
Yes.
how 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 did it work? How actually, first of all, before talking about the album, I would
Sure.
like to ask you about your Brazilian influences. Which
Yes.
artists you know from Brazil? Just like singers or instruments, or
Yes.
um, there's a bunch of good people in
Oh
Brazil, as
yeah. I
you
mean,
as you know, right?
there's yeah, absolutely. There's gosh, so many, of course we know the famous Antonio Carlos Jobim. I've had the pleasure of spending time with his grandson David Jobim, down in Rio. Um, and the whole project that I did down there in Rio was with a gentleman by the name of Robert Abear, who was from Chicago, and he just
Yeah.
loved the culture. He loved the music. Um, and he invited me to join them down there to do a record, as you know, Bossa Nova Noites, and got to play and work with some wonderful, wonderful musicians down there. So, and it ended up that two of the songs I asked if I could use, and they did. They allowed me to use it. So,
Oh, cool. How was the last time you've been to Brazil?
let me see. Last time I was there was 20. This is 26, so it was in 2023, I think. 24,
Oh,
I think. Yeah. So it's been a little while, since I've been
well,
back.
yeah, yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
not too
like
long.
2 years,
Yeah.
2 years ago. Yeah, and we were talking about Tom Jobim and all the influences. You have one of your records, Savoir Faire. You have a song, "Happiness,"
Yes. Hmm.
from Jobim, right?
That yeah, actually that came from that project that we were doing down there at that time. I didn't record it down there. It was sent to me by what's David's last name? I can't think. I said David Jobim, but I think it was Tom Jobim,
Then
right? Was it? Yeah. Well, anyway,
Tom
we
Jobim.
said that, and I
Yeah.
played on that. Yeah, it was very nice, and it was a different arrangement, which was nice. Refreshing. Yeah, because you know a
Yeah,
lot of people that play little songs.
Tom Jobim was a genius. The guy was
Yeah,
out of this world. Yeah.
absolutely.
And there's a curiosity actually, because the city I was born and raised, it's pretty close to the
To Rio.
city. No,
Hmm.
actually to the city where Jobim
Oh,
composed
okay.
Waters of March,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because he had a countryside house in a very small city next to Rio, and I have some
Sure.
friends that live there. And every time I go to that city, it comes to my mind. Okay, Tom Jobim wrote Waters of March here in this
Uh-huh.
very same city. So it's very it's very exciting to think about it.
Oh, that's great.
So going back to the latest album, so Under the
Mhm.
Moon Over the Sky, how was the process to the collaboration for with Bossa Nova Noites and the recordings and
Yes.
everything? How was it?
Well, I financed the record myself. It was an independent record. It's the first time I've ever done that. So, but
Wow.
the beautiful thing was it was expensive, but it was liberating at the same time because the material that came to me, I would just call my friends and they would send me material. So Chris Walker would send some material that was really nice. Um, who else? So it's a mixture of R&B, jazz, R&B, and features. We have the Grammy Award winning vocalist Regina Bell is on there.
Yeah,
Um, we have uh, what's her name? Gosh, my mind goes blank, man. I'm so sorry about this.
that's
But
okay.
yeah, it's quite a few guest artists on there as well as Incognito, Will Downing. So we had a great time. I wish I could remember this young lady's name at the moment. My mind is going blank here, but I'll try to find it while we talk.
No,
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah,
I saw on the album that you also recorded a song from Milton Nascimento, right?
yes, uh-huh.
Yeah, it's
Um,
that song is actually very important in Brazil, because it's like a symbol of um, musical movement called Clube da Esquina.
okay.
Yeah, because a lot of good songwriters and musicians came from a state called Minas Gerais,
Mm,
like
mhm,
Milton Nascimento, Lo Borges, man, a bunch of them. And
sure.
when I saw this song on your record, I said, "Wow, man, that's really cool." So it's all from your producer that brings you this stuff. How does it work?
Yeah, a little bit of both of that. Sometimes songwriters bring me something. I engage Barry Eastman. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's a very famous um, record producer here. He's produced Al Jarreau, Anita Baker, and on and on. Tom Jones, and so many great people. Billy Ocean. So I engaged him, and he helped me to produce some of the stuff. The songs like La Costa, which was Regina Bell, and the title song Under the Moon and Over the Sky, which was written by the late Angela Bofield. Angela and I used to tour together back in the late '80s, and she was a really good friend up until she passed away. So we titled it as a tribute to her. Yeah,
Oh, nice, nice.
yeah.
And you went to a studio, you recorded in a home studio.
We did a little of all of that. Some of the stuff, particularly the stuff we did in Brazil, was recorded in the studio. But the way the world works now, we just send the tracks to each other, and
Oh yeah.
cut a lot of the travel expenses and all that, as well as giving you the flexibility to take your time with stuff. So everybody has home studios now, and then you take it
With
to
good
somebody who's a
quality.
really good mixer. Yeah, yeah. So
Oh yeah. So it works really well nowadays.
absolutely, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Cool. So yeah, so let's talk about the instruments you're using right now.
mhm,
So for the flute, which one is
mhm.
that one?
This one, I have several. I play Haynes flutes, but this one here is a Brannon Brothers. This is a Brannon Brothers flute with a J.R. Lathine head joint. So this is the head joint is, I think it's 10 karat gold, and the flute itself is 14 karat. So I bought this during COVID when I was home. And the Flute Center in New York sent me all these flutes, knowing that I was going to probably buy one. But I always wanted to buy like an upper model flute all my life, and I'm at that stage of my life where I decided to do that. So on the current album, Under the Moon Over the Sky is what I use this flute on there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on tour, I only use I use my Haynes. I have two Haynes flutes, and that I go between, and one has a Haynes gold head joint. So I go between one, which is an offset G model, French model, which is naturally tuned to A442. So you have to pull out quite far with the head joint
Wow,
and
really?
A440, yeah. But it's a great sounding flute. It's actually being overhauled right now. It's being worked on. And then I have another one, a DeVoe model, which I bought back in the 90s, all silver, of course, with the low B footing, you know. The French model has the offset G. The other one is an inline model. This is an inline model, as you can probably
Inline,
see.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much that. Yeah.
Well, the
Mhm.
first flute that I bought was a open hole flute, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
had to get used to put my fingers on the right place.
Right. Yes. Yes.
So it created actually a muscular memory. I never forgot
Right.
it. So my
Exactly.
fingers are on the right spot forever,
I
even
see.
using closed hole flutes later on. You know,
Yeah.
that's a good school too. If you get used to use open hole flutes, you
Well, you know what? I started an open hole flute in, I want to say, the early 90s. When I bought my first open hole flute was that French Haynes model I told you about. That was the first one I bought, and I never went back. I could never go back to closed hole after that, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. I like them really much.
yeah.
And about saxophones.
Yes. Well, I'm a little neurotic with that. I mean, I got a lot. I just had my one of my Mark Sixes that I've owned for probably 30 years, and I had it worked on yesterday. And
The
so I have about
classic.
two Mark Sixes. I have a couple of Cannonballs. I have a couple of Yamahas. So I kind of go between all of them. On soprano, I mainly use a YS62 soprano, Yamaha. You know, whatever the
Cool.
top pro model is, that's the one I have. I've had it for probably about 10 years. And it was actually given to me by the widow of a great saxophonist out of Kansas City named Auckland Aladdin, who used to work with Ella Fitzgerald, the Count Basie Band Orchestra. He taught at the University of Kansas City, University of Kansas in Kansas City. And when he passed away, I was, you know, instrumental in helping her set up his legacy thing. And she just said, listen, I'd like you to have the horn, you know. So she,
Wow,
yeah,
that's
so I've been
amazing.
playing that pretty much ever since then. Hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
for the mouthpieces, what do
Yeah.
you use?
I've been transitioning from, I mean, you know, when I was playing with Prince, I used to play a Gardella, you know, which I love that sound, but for some reason, I can't use it anymore. I don't understand. I mean, like, I just don't like the sound, you know. I love the sound. I played it on, there was an album I did live at the Greek with Billy Cobham and Stanley Clark and Larry Carlton, and it sounds great on that record, you know. But for some reason, I put down tenor for a while, and when I went back to it, I couldn't get the sound, that sound, and so I can't use the mouthpiece anymore. You know, so lately I've been using the Barry, what do you call that one? Infinity. Been using that. It's a hard rubber, and I've been also using lately the Dario as well. You know,
Oh, okay.
seven opening, uh, and I go between the Java with the red Javas 3.5 and the what's the name of this other company? I know you know. My mind is going bad these days, but yeah. So I go between several reeds. You know.
Oh, okay,
I don't know
cool.
if you go through this, Antonio, but when you go to the different environments, for whatever reasons, the reed you may have used that, it just doesn't work that day. You know, it's weird. You know, so
Yeah, yeah. Well, you were used to sound at that time back in the 80s or 90s, and then your mind changes and your perception and everything, right? So it's natural, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
But you don't use metal mouthpieces.
I do sometimes. I try to use the Gardella. I just don't care for the sound anymore. It's too bright for me. But I've been doing mostly hard rubber now. Yeah, I'm back to hard.
Oh, okay. And you change like, okay, this mouthpiece will go better for live performances, and this one is for the studio, or
Recording.
no?
Yes, I've had that happen before. I got tons of mouthpieces here, metal ones. You know, Theowanis, I've used them. You know, Yeah, I have. There's one called the Slate, which is more of a jazz type straight ahead mouthpiece. I love that mouthpiece, but it tends to be a little too dark for some of the stuff I do live. Sometimes I need something
Okay.
a little more edge. So with a baffle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So let's talk about your. You just released one album, right?
Yes.
So tell us about your future projects. What's going on? New albums, or okay, I have this gig for this specific project. What's going
Sure.
on?
Well, we just started. We're calling it the Under the Moon Over the Sky World Tour. We just started last week in Chicago, St. Louis. Tomorrow we're in Nashville, Tennessee, and then we go on to Atlanta, Georgia, then on to Cincinnati. It's just a whole tour, and then we go Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Boston, New York, that kind of thing. So we're doing the city winery tour, doing that. We've been selling out. It's been great, been a lot of fun. I got a great band, and the way the show works these times, I'm doing some of that material, some of course, my classic stuff that people come to hear. But we also do, we break away. We do some Chick Corea stuff, because fusion stuff to just show the diversity of what we can do.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, so we're touring right now to support this record and get as much radio and interviews and all those kind of things to help support the independent project we're doing.
I don't know if you know, but now I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Yes, yes. Hmm.
Are you guys planning coming to Canada? Please
Oh,
say
I would love
yes.
to. Yes, we would love to come to Canada. I mean, in spite of all this crazy stuff going on, man, I don't understand a lot of it. We don't, but we would love to Canada. Unfortunately, I just don't have any representation up there with the promoters. It would be
Yeah,
great if we had some representation with a booking agent or something up there.
I'll try to arrange a representation here in Canada for you, and you
Oh,
have to
I
come
appreciate.
here.
Well, if I come up there, you got to promise me you come on stage and play with me. You got to promise that.
Oh, oh, don't do that, man. Don't.
That would be great, man. That would be great.
Okay, I can hold the flute for you while you play the
Oh,
sax, and
no.
then and then you
What up and play, man. We always make it
and
fun.
and actually we're just about to end the interview. I would like to know from you. I have a very tricky question that I
Sure,
do for all people that I interview.
sure.
If you had to gather a dream band to play with you,
Ooh.
you can choose people that are still here among
Oh,
us or
God.
they gone. I want to know from you which one, which gonna be the dream band you want to gather. The
Okay.
names.
The names, let me see. Honestly, that's a hard one. I would love to have
I told you.
Chick Corea. Chick Corea would be great. I've had the pleasure of playing with Herbie. He could be in the band. I would love that. I mean, that's that. Gosh, who else would I love? That's a hard question. Ron Carter, who I just recently did a record with.
Oh,
Who else?
nice.
Jack Dejan. I would love to be able to do that. That's, you know, a lot of
Okay,
people
cool.
don't know the straight ahead side of me. I've done quite a bit of that stuff, big band stuff. Particularly when I was in Boston, I played in the George Russell big band and second alto chair. And
Ooh, nice.
yeah, so I have quite a bit of experience doing that kind of music, and but when I was in college, I also played R&B, and I decided to go get a check.
Oh yeah, totally. You have to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but Najee, you have an amazing career, man.
Oh, thank
Your sound is amazing. It's very inspiring. I tell I can tell about myself, like being born and raised in a small city in Brazil
you. Yeah.
back in the 80s/90s.
Hmm.
It was really hard to get access to instrumental records.
Yeah.
So nowadays it's totally different. You can listen to whatever you want whenever you want.
True.
It's that's because I always tell people, do you know this one, do you know that one? No, I said, that's your fault because it's all there.
Right. Right. Right.
Right, you have to, before you had to fight over records and stuff. So nowadays you don't have to. So your
So,
your discography is amazing. You have an amazing journey.
Well,
And
thank
for the final words, I would like you to know from you, what advice would you give to young woodwind players around the
you.
world coming out of the college or just learning by themselves
Hmm.
in their apartments or their houses?
Sure.
I don't know, maybe a technique, um, hint, or whatever you want to say.
I would say develop your strengths. You know, of course we study hard, but I always say work hard at being who you naturally are. I went through a period, and I'm sure all saxophonists go through this, flutists, trying to be somebody else. I would study John Coltrane as a kid, learn moments notice, learn, countdown and everything else. But at the end of the day, I still sounded like me. It took me a long time to develop my sound that's really naturally in me. I try to pick up the alto and sound like David Sanborn, and I could never get that sound. It's like I still sounded like me. You can play it technically. So I always say develop your strengths. You don't have to be that guy you admire to be successful. You know, you just work hard at being who you are and developing. Oh, I'll tell you one great advice. I had the opportunity and pleasure to study with the late Joe Allard. I don't know if you knew who he was. He taught Train, he taught Michael Brecker, David Sanborn, and I had the
Wow.
opportunity in college in Boston when I went up to go to New England Conservatory. He taught there, and he was my teacher. And the one thing I loved about him was he didn't try to make you somebody else. He taught Eric Dolphy on clarinet. I mean, he was just an amazing man. And he never forced me to be, okay, this is how Dave Liebman plays. So you need to play like this, or Michael Brecker plays like that. He always catered his lesson to the personality of the player he was teaching. He quickly recognized that, you know, you take the basic principles, but you make them your own. So that's what I would give to young people, develop your personality.
Oh
Listen,
yeah.
the world has heard Train, the world has heard Brecker. They haven't heard you yet. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah, totally.
yeah,
That's just an amazing advice. Yeah, because especially when you start learning an instrument, you always trying to pursue a sound that's somebody else's,
exactly. That impresses you. Yeah. It's funny
right?
because till this day, Kirk Whalen and I were having a conversation. And I was saying, man, I got to learn to slow down to be more like you, play lyrical like you. And he said, you know what, man, I'm trying to speed up. But and and here was the funny thing, Antonio, because as a kid, my exposure to the saxophone was fast playing. So, I listened to George Coleman on Miles Davis record, Four and More. And if you ever listen to those records, George Coleman is tremendous fast player. So when we went to high school, when I went to high school and I was playing in the bands, and my colleagues who were in school with me that played saxophone, we all tried to compete with fast playing. you know, and all my friends still to this day, they still play fast. I play fast. I mean, it's just I had to constantly learn how to slow things down.
Yeah, it's not a race,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
So
Yeah. So, Najee, what are your socials, like your website, your
yeah.
Instagram,
Hmm.
so people can check out on your new album?
Yes.
Tell us about your website and how people can find your material.
Yes. Well, for Instagram, I'm Najee Official, and I'm officially known as Najee Saxophonist and Flautist. So that's on Instagram. On Facebook, it's Najee Official as well. There were actually two Facebook pages, but the one that's mostly engaged is Najee Saxophonist and Flautist. And then there's TikTok, same thing. So,
Yeah.
TikTok was still. Oh, but my official website is najeeofficial.com. Najeeofficial.com. So,
Okay. So people there on your website, they can find your tour
yeah.
dates and everything, right?
Yes, and if you become a subscriber, you'll be able to get newsletters occasionally from me, as well as all the usual the tour dates, and you can even purchase the new CD there as well if you so
Wow,
choose. Yeah.
amazing.
Yes,
If
sir.
you come to Canada, I would like to have one of your CDs, actually the new album,
Uh huh.
signed by you.
Oh man, I'll send you one right now. You just all you got to do is just send me your
Wow,
your
that would be an honor.
mailing address. Yeah, I'll send it to you. Not a problem at all.
Okay.
Yes,
It's
sir.
not going to be far because I'm not in Brazil anymore. I'm in
All
Toronto,
right.
so it's yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So Najee, I would like to thank you very much for your time, for your kindness to having this conversation here today with me to our audience. It's a new project, to create a YouTube channel just to interview, wind players from all around the world, because we found the lack of this in the middle of a lot of things. I think we have a lot of channels speaking only about saxophones, blah blah blah, but
Yeah,
not for
yeah.
the whole world
Exactly.
of the wind playing, right?
Sure. Yes, sir.
So I appreciate your time with us today.
Yes. Thank you.
So,
Oh, by the way, do you know Marcelo Martins? Do you know him?
oh
Marcelo.
yeah,
Yeah, I love him. He's a great guy. Great,
oh
great player.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's on the list.
Yeah.
I've been talking to him already
Oh, good, good, good.
about
Well,
an
if you
interview
speak to him,
because
tell him I said hi. Give him my best.
actually we have this channel. It's for the English speakers only. It's a Wind Talk
Oh,
sessions.
I
But
see.
there's another channel with Portuguese interviews called Sopro em Cena, like Wind
Oh,
on the
okay.
stage.
Uh-huh.
So I interviewed Mauro Ceniz. I don't know if you know the name. He's the founder of a very very cool fusion group called Cama de Gato.
Okay.
I'll send you the link. You have to
I
research about it.
appreciate that. Yes.
It's amazing. It's from the 80s, but the group still exists.
Sure. Sure.
It's quite something. So I interviewed him actually yesterday. So
Okay.
that's the Portuguese channel, and there's the English channel, Wind Talk Sessions. So you will be probably in both, because I'm gonna subtitle this interview to Portuguese so people from Brazil and all the Portuguese speakers
Oh,
in the
beautiful.
world can watch this amazing interview. Okay.
Sure. Yes, sir.
So
But
thank you very much. I'm gonna.
thank you. It's good to see you. And do me a favor, make sure you email me your address, and I'll have something sent out to you right away.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'm gonna thank you all for watching this interview until this time. So would like you guys to subscribe to our channel. We are also present in Instagram. It's a Wind Talk Sessions, same name. So thanks for your support. Subscribe, hit the like, and go to the Najee official website to check all the material and everything. Great stuff there. So thank you very much, and see you guys soon.